2020. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Karen,
Here.
and do we need to do location as well, please?
Yes.
Naples, Florida.
Councilmember Gates,
Here, Marshall.
Councilmember McNeil,
Here, Milwaukee.
Councilmember Metzger,
Here, Marshall.
Councilmember Traver, Councilmember Underhill,
Here, Marshall.
Councilmember Wolfersberger.
Here, Marshall.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'd seek a motion to excuse Member Traver from tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion by Member Metzger, support by Member Gates. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Member Gates,
Yes.
Member McNeil,
Yes.
Member Metzger,
Yes.
Member Underhill,
Yes.
Member Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Mayor Karen.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We will start this evening with an invocation by Scott Lowridge, if he has joined us this evening, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Couple of names I can't tell. Purvis and the LI phone. Besides that, that's it.
All right, it does not look like Scott is on the call, so we will move to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we will move on to the approval of agenda this evening, starting with public comment on agenda items, followed by the consent agenda. Under item 12A, we have City Council Rules of Procedure. Item 12B, we have the granary move permit. Item 12C, we have the retail open house closure of Michigan Avenue. Under 13A, appointments and elections, we have the South Neighborhood Improvement Authority Board. 13B, we have the Northeast Neighborhood Improvement Authority Board. 13C, we have the Planning Commission appointment, followed by public comment on non-agenda items and council and manager communications. I would like to add the MSCPA bill under the consent agenda for $741,667.54. And I would also like to remove item 12C from the agenda, retail open house closure of Michigan Avenue. Any additional questions, comments on these consent on the agenda this evening?
I would make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
We have a motion by Member Metzger, support by Member McNeil. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Member McNeil,
Yes.
Member Metzger,
Yes.
Member Underhill,
Yes.
Member Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Mayor Karen,
Yes.
Member Gates.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. That moves us on to public comment on agenda items. Anyone wishing to address the council may do so for a maximum of 5 minutes, stating their name and address for the record. We will look for either comments or raised hands. All right, not seeing any comments or raised hands, we will move on to the consent agenda. Item 7A, we have the scheduling of a public hearing for zoning ordinance and city ordinance Chapter 121 to define hoop house and commercial greenhouse and define use standards. 7B, we have a scheduled public hearing for obsolete property rehabilitation exemption. Item 7C, we have the Federal Transit Administration procurement policy. Item 7D, we have the first quarter financials. Item 7E, we have first quarter investment portfolio. 7F, we have first quarter cash position report. 7G, we have the city council minutes for the regular session held on Monday, October 19th, 2020. And 7H, we have city bills totaling $1,217,781.36. Any questions, comments on the consent agenda?
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I actually have one quick thing on the transit agency procurement policy. Is there any, is there anything future councils would like to know before we agree to this? I mean, does it put us in a position where we are committed to anything that we don't know?
John, would you?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
In the background of the section there, we need to have this procurement policy adopted by council to receive federal funding from the Federal Transit Authority. And somehow, somewhere down the line, we did not adopt this policy. We got to have it. I'll be happy to, if there's any changes council would like to see, I'm more than happy to present that to MDOT, but I think it's pretty boilerplate. If you look towards the end, we did modify the small purchase. It was 10,000 or 5,000 to 250,000. So we brought that down to 10,000 or 25,000 to meet our purchasing policy.
Thank you, John. Any additional questions?
No, I guess it was more along the lines of it doesn't, it's not committing us to spend a certain amount of money, annually or in any periods of time, anything like that. It's more of just being in line with the federal procurement policy. Is that what this represents?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have a motion by member Metzger. Do we have support?
Support.
Support from member Underhill. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Member Gates,
Yes.
member McNeil,
Yes.
member Metzger,
Yes.
member Underhill,
Yes.
member Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Mayor Karen.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. That moves us to item 12A under reports and recommendations, City Council Rules of Procedure.
Last time these were changed was back in 2011. And so what you see here in the beginning of the document are some changes that when the voters changed the clerk treasurer position, it was still left in here. So you'll see treasurer struck out while it's just the clerk. Starting at the beginning, we added the holiday that you usually move your council meeting. So we have that in the first section. I'm just walking through this. There is a big section on the end, which we'll get to. But otherwise, it's basically the correcting the clerk treasurer. And then I'm just going through page by page here. In section 7.2, we've brought the up to current technology on recordings. And then the main area that is changed is added on to the end where the under the new Open Meetings Act, the sections there in red. I believe it's page 10 through 12, just how we are now allowed to have remote meetings. And so this was put together to meet the current standards. And I guess I can answer questions if you have any.
Any questions for Tom at this time?
Tom, I may have missed it, but so in the revised ordinance that talks about the protocol that the public uses if they want to approach the podium and speak, I don't see anything that connects that to if it's a virtual meeting. So in the what is this, PA 228? I don't see anything. I may have just missed it though. Is that in there? And if it's not, should we address that at some point too?
Let me blow this up a little on my screen. See what page I'm on here. It talks about allowing for members of the public body to attend. I'm just glancing through this right now. I'm just.
I'm talking about page 3 of the net area under 6.2 public participation.
Again, what section was that, Eric? You're muffled really bad.
All right, 6.2.
Right, so 6.2 speaks to the protocol about if you're attending in person. My question though, because this has become a bit of a challenge for some people from the public, is how do they indicate that they want to participate if we're holding a electronic meeting? And there's no, I don't see anything in the new language that talks about how, you know, you indicate through some kind of a mechanism you want to communicate and what the protocol is for communication from the public.
I guess I'm going to have to.
So if it's not there, my recommendation would be we accept these changes, but then I'd ask that we also go back and look at adding language to supplement the electronic meeting information to indicate how the public joins for public conversation.
Okay, apologize for that. This thing's been flying around, a lot of changes, so.
Nope, no worries, thanks.
Thank you for catching that.
Any additional questions or comments for Tom at this time?
I noticed there's the provision for changing. Is there a provision for canceling? Or is that defined elsewhere?
I'm not sure if it was ever in the rules, procedures. It's the trouble having one screen here. I can't have you up and at the same time. So you're saying is if we cancel a meeting, is that correct?
Right. I'm just, is that defined in state law then, or is that, does it need to be defined in these rules?
I'm looking in the old section, not the new section. Because from time to time we did change the charter, the vote of the people where they allow you to have one meeting a month versus two. And it talks about changes in the regular schedule. Again, let me check into that one, is cancellations. I believe there's something in state law that allows cancellations, which you would be following by adopting this. I have it on my list.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so at this time, I'd seek a motion to adopt the revised city council rules of procedure and rules of remote meetings with the suggested amendments.
So moved.
Or somebody?
We have a motion by member McNeil, support by member Metzger. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Member McNeil,
Yes.
member Metzger,
Yes.
member Underhill,
Yes.
member Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Mayor Karen,
Yes.
member Gates,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. That moves us to item 12B, the granary move permit. Tom, if you can brief us on this, please.
Yes. The Avery Granary out on Verona Road has been donated to the fairgrounds. They wanted to move it last week until we stopped them because they had not done any of the work for permitting. Talked with the mover out of Albion and was able to work out, we think, a better route that was suggested to you here. Their plan, if approved tonight, and they have all the other necessary items, they would move this starting about 6 o'clock on Sunday, November 22nd. And they feel it'd take about 2 hours to come from the Avery farm to the fairgrounds. One thing that we, if you approve their permit tonight, we're also, you have the right to waive the fees for nonprofits, which of course the fairgrounds is. So, so I think if there's any specific questions, I think, well, Jen Rice is participating if you have any specific questions about the fairgrounds, but otherwise, I'll be able to answer any questions, or Jen. I'm not sure if anybody else on beside Jen. So,
I do want to make a comment. I believe the fairgrounds has set aside the dollars well in excess to cover the permit fees, which would, I think they would rather do, which I would agree with.
Yeah, we've received a substantial amount of donations to move this building.
Part of the costs are for, I see, postage to send out notifications to property owners along the route. Do we think there's time to get that together and mail them out?
Tricia mailed these out last week, Wednesday, I believe, the 12th. So the ordinance requires this notice be sent prior and informing everybody along the route that you're dealing with this tonight. So those notices are all done.
So that already indicated the date and time of the move?
Yes, it did. It should be part of your packet, the letter that was sent to all the property owners.
Did the company come in and obtain the permits today?
They probably would come in after you approve it. So no, they did. They're not. And I wasn't in the office today, but they would be waiting on your approval before they would get their permit. So that would all happen in the next day or two.
So they haven't, I guess my only concern here is that there does seem to be several things that are still pending. It talks about a need for a building permit, things like that. It's, are we comfortable that those items will be completed before the move occurs?
I guess I'd like to give the floor to Jen. So you can answer these
Why
better than
are
I
you
can.
doing this to me, Tom?
Welcome.
I'm not privy really to the plans of the committee to move the building. And I wasn't aware that they had not pulled the permits. So I apologize that I really can't speak to their plans whatsoever.
Eric, did Tim mention to you yet about any permits?
Yeah, they have been in contact with the building department.
Wait,
Okay,
I didn't catch that. Eric, we can't hear you.
Yes, they have been in contact with the building department.
Have they obtained permits?
But they have not finalized it as of my last conversation with Michelle. But it was a matter of just process, I believe, when I talked to her this afternoon.
So again, once you approve contingent on the other things, they will then move forward and get their MDOT permit, get us insurance, get their permits. But this is second step. The first step was to notify everybody along the route.
All right, any additional questions regarding the granary move at this point?
You do have someone in public with their hand raised. I just want to bring it to your attention.
Can you make them?
They should be able to talk now.
Do we need to call that person's name?
It shows Fervis on our screen, so your mic, you're unmuted, so you can speak.
Hello, I am on your path of this granary, and I'm just curious the dimensions that it's going to take to go by my place. Thank you.
The biggest piece on that permit is 30 feet. The widest.
So how wide is the street?
It varies along the way. There are going to have to be no cars, but Verona Road, West Drive, Michigan Avenue, Green are all wide enough to handle that. Then they decided not to turn at Exchange and Green, but go over and turn at Marshall and then go on the starting in the 200 block of South Marshall. But this is the route that they've proposed that they know they can move it.
Without disrupting properties?
The streets are at least 28 to 30 wide. So yeah, they would be not disturbing any properties. They'll be within the road right away.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, so the recommendation is to approve the building move permit for the Avery Granary contingent on proof of bond, surety, MDOT permit, insurance, and obtaining building permits.
So moved. Or
We have a motion by member Gates, support by member Underhill. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Member Underhill,
yes.
member Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Mayor Karen,
Yes.
member Gates,
Yes.
member McNeil,
No.
member Metzger,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. That moves us to item 13A on the agenda, South Neighborhood Improvement Authority Board. The recommendation is to reappoint Ben Holben and Michael Murphy to the South NIA Board with terms expiring December 31st, 2023. Seek a motion.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion by member Underhill, support by member McNeil. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Member Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Mayor Karen,
Yes.
Member Gates,
Yes.
Member McNeil,
Yes.
Member Metzger,
Yes.
Member Underhill.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next, we have item 13B, the Northeast Neighborhood Improvement Authority Board appointment. The recommendation is to reappoint Greg Beek to the Northeast Neighborhood Improvement Authority Board with a term expiring December 31st, 2023. Seek a motion.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion by member Wolfersberger, support by member McNeil. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Member McNeil,
Yes.
Member Metzger,
Yes.
Member Underhill,
Yes.
Member Wolfersberger,
Yes.
and Mayor Karen
Yes.
and Gates.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next, we have item 13C, the Planning Commission appointment. The recommendation is to appoint Stephanie Hall to the Planning Commission with a term expiring of November 1, 2023. Seek a motion.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from member Metzger, support by member Wolfersberger. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Member Metzger,
Yes.
Member Underhill,
Yes.
Member Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Mayor Karen,
Yes.
Member Gates,
Yes.
Member McNeil.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have public comment on non-agenda items. Anyone wishing to address the council may do so for a maximum of 5 minutes, stating their name and address for the record. Please either raise your hand or comment in the chat section. All right, seeing no hands and no comments in the chat section, we will move on to council and manager communications. Member Wolfersberger.
No new news on the NIA. I guess I'll congratulate member-elect Rice and member-elect Schwartz forward to serving with them in 2021 and beyond.
Thank you. Member Underhill.
Nothing on my end. Thanks, Trish, I don't think we have talked since the election, but thank you for everything you did for the city and get everything together. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Gates.
So the farmers market is taking place. The winter market is out at the fairgrounds. If you haven't been out there yet, I suggest you check it out. They really have some great vendors out there, and they're doing a great job. So I would recommend everyone go out there and take a look. I've also beat the COVID drum for the past few meetings, but for anyone who's not paying attention to the numbers in Calhoun County, they are high and they have not been trending in a good direction. So I just really encourage everyone to take these most recent orders to heart. You guys know what to do by now: wear a mask, distance, all that good stuff. But it really is about helping other people. And so I hope we'll all come together as a community to do what we can to help get past this. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Metzger.
Yeah, I would just like to revisit the granary move for just a quick second. Tom, as far as the costs associated with the power lines and the labor associated with all that, who is paying for that?
I don't think you clearly decided. You have the right to waive it. And I guess if you did not waive it, then the action you took would be that we would then charge the appropriate time that we have to do. So at this point, you did not waive them in my eyes. So that can be an action you still can take if you wanted to waive the fees.
Again, I believe they got the donations significant enough to cover the costs associated with such. So in
And with
my,
the route that we worked out with the mover, they originally were going to wind down Hanover Street, West Hanover, and a lot more tree trimming. And we convinced them just to go down Michigan Avenue, and they'll be moving along. So at this point, we would take the cost of any additional that we would have. For instance, we would definitely have a electric line crew there just in case they ran into a low service or something like that. So that will be our plan unless I hear differently in a few minutes here.
okay.
Anything additional, Member Metzger?
Oh, sorry. No, I was still thinking about that. Sorry. No, and again, yeah, congratulations to Jen Rice and Jim Schwartz. Great accomplishment, great achievement. I'm sure everybody looks forward to you on the board. I know I do. So thank you.
Thank you. Member McNeil?
Just piling on, congratulations to Jen Rice and Jim Schwartz, and then to Trish, thank you for all your work. What an incredible job. I know that this has been a particularly fraught election cycle, and I appreciate that. Typical with how a lot of things happened in Marshall, it happened effectively and we didn't have any drama. Awesome work, Trish. Thank you for doing all of that. And
you
then
better.
and then I will reiterate Councilmember Gates's comments about, just public safety and health, and wear your mask, limit your exposure, wash your hands, socially distance. Not something that is biased towards or against any political affiliation. That anybody can get sick, anybody can accidentally spread it to somebody else that might be more vulnerable. So it's not fun. Nobody likes going through what we're going through. And I appreciate that everybody is doing what they can to try to protect the public.
All right, thank you. Clerk Nelson?
Thank you, everybody, for the good comments. The canvasser certified the results and everything went off without a hitch, which I'm very proud of and very thankful, glad that it's over.
Thank you very much. We appreciate all that you've done. City Manager Tarkowitz.
I'm going to spend a few minutes on COVID here. We have closed our buildings to the public effective last Monday. The end of last week and beginning this week, under the MIOSHA rule, many of our employees who can work from home will be working from home. This is not a furlough. This is they'll be working. Technology, we're working with them. Phones are being transferred to their homes. So there will be some activity at City Hall. Those that have to come in, again, to protect our staff. We've been very blessed here at the city. You did take one thing off your agenda tonight. Since the ruling that occurred or will go in effect Wednesday, I've had a lot of conversations with the chair of MEDA and MEDA staff. And so they felt having a large gathering, causing a larger gathering. That's why they withdrew the closure of the street. I'm not sure exactly what the retailers are going to do, but chair of the board is Matt Davis, and we've had a lot of discussions last night and today. So that's why that occurred. There is rethinking on the Christmas parade, just to let you all know. Details have not been finalized, but even the elongated route really we think may not be the best thing. So please watch. We'll keep you informed, the social media and the newspaper, of what may be happening with that parade. So we're doing our best to protect the public and staff and get through this 3 weeks and hopefully get this spike down. Again, we're all available. If you need anything, public can get to us very quickly. And I think that's everything. I think there was another COVID issue, but we're dealing with this and we'll all get through it. So again, thank you for your support.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. In the chat, it looks as if Barry Adams wanted to comment and was not able to during the public comment time. So I'd like to allow him to enter the meeting and make his comment at this time.
Hello.
We can hear you, Barry.
Okay, thanks for letting me on. It was interesting that my browser tab suddenly crashed just before the public comments section came up. And it's interesting to, when you do a little bit of research on the Zoom, you find out that the board of directors includes H.R. McMaster, a member of the National Security Agency. So, you know, these Zoom meetings are actually peripherally under control of military authority. But there's a bunch of stuff I need to talk about. Number one, it said in the newspaper, you know, rake your leaves between the sidewalk and the curb. Well, I did that, and the guys come by and they only blow from about 6 to 8 feet from the curb to the curb. So, you know, either say rake to 6 to 8 feet from the curb, or, you know, I know these guys are doing, you know, government wage slave jobs and they'd rather get the job over with. But, you know, if you say just put it between the sidewalk and the curb, then do all that area. You guys are supposed to take proprietary control of that anyway. And again, with these Zoom meetings, I was not able to attend the last couple meetings because, well, you canceled the last meeting, and the one before that, I was not able to make because it had suddenly been turned into a Zoom meeting, and the public library was closed at that time. Now, ostensibly, you could say it's a public meeting when you provide computer access at the library, but if the library is closed, it's not a public meeting. And it seems what's happening here is we're turning, you know, government operations into a technocratic process, which excludes certain people who choose to not be so technologically codependent. Also, for your concerns about the Open Meetings Act, I have it right in front of me, and the word cancellation is not found once in the entire Open Meeting Act, so that should be a clue. Also, MCL 15.263, Section 2, all decisions of a public body shall be made at a meeting open to the public. So any decision about changing stuff has to happen at the open meetings, in the open meetings. And again, this is the state statute, so it supersedes anything you try to do down at the procedural level. And your attorney, at the last time I spoke, your attorney insinuated that the information I provided to you was non-factual without providing any salient countervailing facts that actually dispute what I said. Now, there's a quick path to a case for public defamation when you just summarily say, well, what this guy said was not factual without actually presenting any facts yourself. And he should be aware of that. Present your countervailing facts. If not, then just don't say an ambiguous, no, you're wrong. Okay, anybody who sees or who doesn't smell something rotten in this election process probably has lost their sense of smell from the COVID. Something very rotten is going on here, and it's still yet to play out. And they are raising the steam pressure on both sides of the binary equation, and both sides are doubly certain that they are right. Now, when things finally come to play, and it seems like there's going to be a real double cross or a pulling of the rug out somewhere, there's going to be some real mad people, and things are going to spill into the street. And, you know, I don't like to be prophetic about this kind of stuff, but things are not looking good. And but if there is an untoward consequence to the results of the election, will you be jumping on board to anything that might be unseemly or untoward? Because all the way along in this election process, things have not seemed to be on the up and up. And, you know, we got actively pre-programmed to dispute the outcome of the election beforehand, and then all the back and forth things with the lawsuits, which are backed up by substantial affidavits made by, you know, senior lawyers who are willing to put their careers on the line by putting forth affidavits under penalty of perjury, but still the media says that no evidence is presented. So things are going very, very wrong, and they may even go wronger, if I can use that term. Also,
Barry, you've met your time limit. I appreciate your comments this evening.
Can I just make one more quick thing? 20 seconds. You said in your Marshall Chronicle thing that being an American is a privilege. Well, I would dispute that is actually a native-born entitlement. And because you guys don't know the difference between privilege and natural right, we get into all these problems. Okay, thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good evening. All right, any additional comments by the council this time?
Just one more, sorry, Tom. When I was at the planning commission, they were talking about the leaf pickup, and they said there's a new machine that's eating up the lawns. You know what that is? That's the, they said it's very efficient, but it ate up their lawn.
What's happening was when they scrape the leaves, they're coming with the what's called the tool cat, and I think what I heard they're running, and that was brought to the attention of the streets department.
Okay, is it fixed now?
I guess I can't answer. Marguerite, do you know what Phil has said on that?
I do not. I will follow up with him.
Will you follow up with us just so I can answer my neighbor?
Sure. I'll put it in the weekly report this week.
All right, thank you. I want to thank everyone for joining this evening, and I will call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.